In this video, I'm going to be guiding you on Chapter 9, Price Elasticity of Supply. The definition of PES is the responsiveness of the quantity supplied to a change in the price of the product, and the formula is the percentage change in quantity supplied over the percentage change in price. Now, if you remember that you need to Q before you P, then I can guarantee you will not have a problem getting the correct answer in any of the calculation questions. Let's have a look at the top formula. So the percentage change in quantity supplied is 12.5% divided by the percentage change in price, which is 25%. This gives us a price elasticity of supply of 0.5, which is inelastic. And for the example at the bottom, the percentage change in quantity supplied is 100% and the percentage change in price is 25%. So 100 divided by 25, this gives us a price elasticity of supply of 4. What this really means is a 1% increase in price will result in 4% in increase in quantity supplied. So moving on to price elastic supply. So this is when the supply curve is relatively flat. So for example, I increase the price from PE to P1. The quantity supplied increases from QE to Q1. As you can see from this example, there was a relatively small change in price, and this led to a significant increase in quantity supplied. And in the case for price inelastic supply, this is when the curve is drawn with a steep slope. So if we increase the price from PE to P1 again, and as you can see, this is a significant increase in price, you can see that the percentage change in quantity supplied is not as dramatic, which you can see from QE to Q1. And in the case of the extreme supply elasticities, such as the perfectly inelastic supply, this shows a complete vertical line, showing the quantity supplied never changes regardless of the price. So let's take my favorite example, Taylor Swift. Her concerts are constantly sold out. Her largest concert ever was in Melbourne Cricket Ground in Australia, and the maximum capacity to this cricket ground is 100,024 seats. This is represented by the supply curve here. It is not physically possible for the stadium to add an additional seat, as the capacity is only 100,024. Another example will be the supply of Bitcoin, as there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins to exist on the Bitcoin network. And the other extreme elasticity is perfectly elastic supply. This is illustrated as a horizontal line on the supply curve, showing the producers supply an infinite amount at a specific price, but nothing at a lower price. One of the best examples of perfectly elastic supply are digital products, such as ebooks or applications on your phone. Back in the day of Angry Birds, they were able to charge less than $1 for the application. They were able to do this because each additional download cost the producers essentially nothing. So the supply of this game or application was unlimited. The reason for this is because there was no additional production cost for the next download by their consumers. So moving on to interpreting PES values. In the case for price elastic, the PES value is greater than 1. This means that supply is highly responsive to a change in price. So for example, if the PES value was 4, this means for every 1% change in price will result in a 4% change in quantity supplied. Examples of price elastic products will be books, pens, toothpicks, birthday cards, and many more. In the case of price inelastic supply, this is the value between 0 and 1, and supply is largely unresponsive to the change in price. Some examples include unique works of art, rare collectibles, and specialized natural resources. In the case for unitary elastic, this is when the PES value is exactly 1. This means that the percentage change in supply is exactly the same or identical to the percentage change in price. And for the extreme elasticities, for perfectly inelastic, this is when PES value is exactly 0, as supply cannot change at all when price changes. And for perfectly elastic, This is when PES is infinity. Producers supply an infinite amount at a specific price, but nothing at a lower price. Moving on to the factors that influence or change the elasticity of supply. The first factor is spare capacity. So this is when firms are able to utilize unused machinery or workers which they can quickly utilize, which increases supply relatively quickly. This will make supply more elastic. Next is the level of stocks or inventories, as firms holding large inventories or finished goods have highly elastic supply. The reason for this is because they are able to provide these goods to the market in a relatively short time, as they are simply packing these excess stock into trucks and supplying them to the market. And in the case for production lag, if goods take a long time to produce, this will cause this product to be highly inelastic in supply. And in the case of substitution, if workers or machinery can easily be switched from making one product to another, supply will be more elastic, as the firm is using its same resources, capital and labor, to produce goods and services that consumers want relatively quickly. And in the case of time, supply becomes significantly more elastic over time as firms can invest in new capital or hire more workers. And in the case for price elasticity of supply for primary products, examples such as agricultural crops and extracted minerals usually have a price inelastic supply, as this will rely on natural growing times or complex extraction processes. It is very difficult to increase production really quickly, even if the market prices was to rise suddenly. At the time of this recording, the price of gold is $4,536 per ounce. If the price of gold increased to $20,000 per ounce, the supply of gold won't increase much due to its complex extraction processes. And in the case for the price elasticity of supply for manufactured products, these goods, such as clothing and electronics, generally have a price elastic supply. As anything that is manufactured, factories can easily respond to the increase in price. This is by running extra shifts or using the spare machinery lying around. Or if they have stocks in storage, they can release these into the market. I hope that helped. I hope you guys have a good day. Bye bye.